for the big
Good morning, TruWonder. My name is Kelsey, and it's time for the Big God Story. Friends, do you remember who led the Israelites into the land that God had promised them? It was Moses, right? And who did God appoint to take over after Moses died? His name was Joshua. And just like Moses, Joshua loved God so much. In fact, last week we learned how Joshua prayed to God to ask for his help during a battle, and that God stopped the sun so that they could finish the battle. God is our warrior. Who can tell me what a warrior is? A warrior is a soldier that's very brave and strong. Well, many years had passed since Joshua and the Israelites first enjoyed the goodness of the Promised Land. And after a while, the Israelites forgot about God. People from a place called Gideon came and began to fight and steal from God's people. And life was so hard for the Israelites that they moved to the mountains and lived in caves to try and protect themselves from these enemies that had come into their land. God's people didn't have anything left. And finally, the Israelites cried out to God for help. Do you think God heard them? Yes. God heard their cries and sent a prophet. What is a prophet? A prophet is someone who gives a special message from God. Well, God told the prophet to tell his people, I brought you out of Egypt in slavery to this new land. I am the Lord your God. You are to worship only me, but you didn't listen. God was reminding his people who he is because they had forgotten him. Well, one day the angel of the Lord came to a man named Gideon. The angel of the Lord said to Gideon, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Friends, each time you hear me say warrior, I want you to stand up and make your best warrior face and show me your strong warrior arms. Let's give it a try. Warrior. Amazing job, friends. Keep listening. Well, the angel said to Gideon, God is with you, mighty warrior. But Gideon, he wasn't so sure. He said, if the Lord is with me, then how did all these horrible things happen to us? The Lord brought us out of Egypt, but now the Lord's left us to be given over to our enemies. Gideon remembered how God had saved them out of Egypt, but there was something Gideon forgot. He said, God has left his people. Does God ever leave us, friends? No. God never leaves us. Even when the Israelites had forgotten about him, God was still with them because God is our warrior. Good job, friends. Well, the Lord said to Gideon, go in your strength and rescue the Israelites from the Midianites. I am sending you. Friends, do you remember what did God first call Gideon? He called him a mighty warrior. If Gideon was from the weakest family and was the weakest person in his family, how was he a mighty warrior? It would be God's power that would make Gideon a mighty warrior. God would be strong even though Gideon was weak. And this is what the Lord said to him. I will be with you, and it will be as if you were fighting against only one man. God is our warrior. But Gideon still wasn't so sure. And he replied, if you're really going to help me, show me a sign to prove that it really is God speaking to me. And the Bible tells us that Gideon prepared an offering for the Lord. This pleased the Lord, and he burned it up before Gideon's eyes. Then Gideon knew he was speaking face to face with the one true God. But still, he wanted another sign. Do you hear that sound? It's our what's it from the wardrobe. What did we find earlier in the wardrobe of wonder? We found this. I wonder what it has to do with this part of the story. Well, Gideon said to the Lord, if you want me to help save Israel, I will place some wool from a sheep on the floor. And when I get up in the morning, if it's wet, but the ground is dry, I will know that you will use me to save Israel. So Gideon put the wool out on the ground, and in the morning, the wool was dry, but the ground was wet. Does that make any sense? No, only God could do that. So finally, Gideon said yes to God. And God showed Gideon and all the Israelites his strength. And God told Gideon to send some of his soldiers home before a big battle. Then God sent many more soldiers home, and there were only a very few left. Gideon trusted God's strength, and with a very small army, Gideon won a very important battle. And soon, people from all around were hearing about God's power, and they knew that the God of Israel was the one who was fighting for his people. And after many, many battles, Israel was safe from their enemies. They got to go home. And God's people lived in peace for many years after they decided to follow him again. Friends, that was a very long story, and great job with your warrior poses. I hope that you remember that God is our warrior. We can cry out to him just like the Israelites did, and know that he hears us and that he will save us. I love you all so much, and we'll see you next week for the Big God story. Goodbye.